good day, and welcome back to our channel. And today we've got Stephen Embleton, who is speaking to us all the way from the UK. Stephen, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Thanks, Noreen. In the UK since the middle of January on fellowship to Oxford, and that's all as a result of my writing, and in particular my young adult fantasy novel that'll be coming out in the next few weeks. And that's all through the James Curry Society, which has been quite a whirlwind, but quite a rewarding experience. And it's got me here the first time I've been in the UK. So that's where my writing's brought me, which has been exciting.
That's pretty damn fine. How did you apply for it, or was it just awarded to you? How did you go about getting it?
So in the beginning of last year, beginning of 2021, all these years seem to meld into one. Beginning of 2021, Tendai Huchu actually had posted on the African Readers Group on Facebook about the James Curry Prize. And it was probably a few weeks to go for the cutoff date. And I had the manuscript for Bones and Runes, which I'd slogged out in lockdown. I just submitted it, not really giving it much thought because it was a literary award, a literary prize initiative. And I thought, I've got this fantasy novel, why not? In the back of my head was, well, why would they give any kind of credence to a fantasy work in a literary award? And the next minute I got notified that I was in the top 10 in the middle of July. And so, I was kind of blown away. And so, again, not really kind of thinking much of that, but, obviously being recognized for a work that I was really proud of, something that I put so much work into in lockdown. And then, the next phase, getting to the top 5. So, although I was in the top 5, I wasn't I wasn't the winner. And the prize was really about getting a publisher interested, an agent, and then to represent the James Curry Society. And then they mentioned the Oxford Fellowship kind of as an extra, a few weeks later. And so there were all sorts of things that I didn't realize were happening in the background after the award was given to Annie Coyote, Somtachukwu. And then I was contacted to say, there's issues with getting Annie to the UK. Would I be interested in representing the society and being a fellow at Oxford? So I didn't really hesitate with that. So it's kind of been a bit of a whirlwind since then, but that's essentially what it all entailed, kind of really coming out of the blue as far as I was concerned. So,
And I mean, look, you're also you're freelancer. So if I'm not mistaken, how did you feel about sort of dropping everything and leaving the country? How are you dealing with the logistics of that?
Yeah. Well, so particularly with lockdown in 2020 and since then, my freelance, design, film production and all that kind of thing was really non-existent. And that was one of the reasons why I had the opportunity to finish Bones and Runes and, just spend the month and a half, every single day just writing and writing. And so so we were also quite negatively affected by the riots in July, having most of our belongings in storage at the time. We were staying with family. And so, the Oxford thing came up, and it was really just an opportunity for us to take. As I said, I've never been to the UK before. My mother was born there, so I've got a British passport. So it was fairly simple for me to go there, particularly for the fellowship. And so for us, there's nothing about being here or being in South Africa from a political point of view, even with all the crap that happened to us personally. It was never about us leaving South Africa. So it was just, here's an opportunity, and we kind of coming here to do that. So, we still here, and also we are here kind of day to day, just experiencing the UK. There's good, there's bad, same in South Africa. So there's no grass is greener. It's just we are trying to do what we can to enjoy ourselves. We've got the British Museum in the line of sight over there. So, you go to do your laundry and you go past the British Museum. Well, I need to just pop in there for a bit, So, it's like weird and great at the same time. But and a bit of adjustment.
I'm so lime jello about the whole museum thing. Like, if there's only one reason why I'd go to the UK, it's not just to catch up with my friends, but it's also just to go see all the wonderful Egyptian antiquities that have been pilfered from Egypt.
Yeah.
So if you don't go to the British Museum, and if I ever meet you in public, I will give you a spanking.
No, we've been there a few times and we've hardly even touched the iceberg. It's absolutely mind blowing. And like you say, the Egyptian stuff, I mean, just being up close to engraved, carved hieroglyphics is just insane. So
Yeah, as I said, completely lime jello. And I saw you post pictures in Camden Market
I
there.
went there yesterday.
Did you
Yeah.
at least donate a quid to the punk?
I didn't. We will do that next time.
Oh boy, yeah, no, as
Yeah,
I
and
said,
the thing is, we're doing so much walking, just in walking distance, and it's just like pretty cool. So yeah.
wow, it's such a great opportunity, and sort of just as your impressions of the UK so far, how do you feel about?
Well, like I say, there's good and bad. The transport is fantastic for somebody who doesn't have a car, and getting around. But getting around on foot is great. Able to get access to most things. The weather is freezing, but at the same time, we came prepared. Mentally prepared, and clothing. But it's manageable. It's the weather's been good. We've had a few rainy days, so it's hardly been too British weather for us. So it can only get better in terms of going into spring and summer. So and then the people are good. It's really cool. So we're just kind of taking it day to day. So.
And are you actually getting an opportunity to write?
Doing a bit more research than proper writing, but there's a few things that I kind of working on, which is good. The last 2 weeks since we wrapped up with the lecture event in Oxford and we came to London. The last 2 weeks have just kind of been getting my bearings again. So. A few things kind of festering in the back of my mind as far as writing ideas and that kind of thing. And there's a few projects that I'm going to be involved with, which are going to be kicking off soon. So, some collaborations in that, which will be fun to kind of get back into property. So,
And I gather you've hooked up with a couple of the other sort of South African sci-fi and fantasy writers who are based in the UK.
Yeah. So got to meet Nikhil Singh for the first time. So it's like weird. You come all the way from Durban and you meet another Durbanite or KwaZulu-Natal oak, and you're meeting up in London. So and that's also one of the things that I'm really keen on doing more of is more of the face-to-face that we don't necessarily do much in South Africa, and then conventions that you can actually go to and be on panels rather than just virtual. So and then being able to actually get a copy of your own book, physical copy is fantastic when they publish here, so it's difficult getting them in South Africa. So doing whatever I can to kind of be part of that community, and whatever I can do from here for anybody that's back in SA. So
Well, I mean that's an unparalleled opportunity. you know, I mean, I know when I'm working with a publisher in the UK, I mean, everyone's like posting pictures of their contributor copies, and I'm like,
Yes, exactly.
so, but I mean, yeah, fortunately, our postal system has pulled its finger out of its posterior a little
Yeah,
bit, so things
yeah.
aren't as bad. But I will not think too hard about my full Blu-ray collection of Harry Potter DVDs that vanished,
Jeez.
never to be found
Yes.
again.
Yeah.
Anyway, bygones. Right, and then sort of, would you say that you're having opportunities at the moment that are helping you grow as a writer more than you would have had before?
Yeah, I think that whether I like it or not, the Oxford thing has actually shifted a bit of uh, my it's put me more out there visibly. So more people have kind of approached me or wanted to include me more. But and I think part of that is also being here in the UK. So particularly people that say, you should, attend this convention and then try and get on panels because obviously I'm physically here. So that's definitely made a difference. And as I said, I'm going to do whatever I can to take those opportunities as much as I can, for everything, for African speculative fiction, for my own writing, for engaging with other writers that you don't necessarily get to do. I mean, you and I kind of know each other, so it's easy enough for us to connect like this. But meeting people and networking face to face makes a big difference. So doing whatever I can to do that. And then, like with the books, I mean, even Soul Searching, I mean, it was out in 2020, and now I can actually sign copies. Somebody can be doing a talk and somebody will say, I've got a copy of your book and I can actually sign it. It's like, what? So the kind of stuff that normal authors kind of take for granted. So and then with Bones and Runes coming out, I know that I can actually give the book a push myself and know that I can do a reading or whatever. So yeah, it's those kind of opportunities that I'm kind of enjoying and going to do whatever I can to utilize the time.
Yeah, no, South Africa moves at its own pace. I mean,
Yeah.
I now refer to everything that happened. I no longer talk about the P word. I talk about the great Marmite shortage of the early 2020s because it's the only way that I can actually laugh about it. But my husband went into the one storage cupboard the other day and he says, all these books of yours, you're not selling them. Maybe you should just give them away. I'm like, because
Yeah.
it's just we haven't had any opportunities to sell books. There's
Yeah.
been no conventions, no book fairs. I mean, they're the community markets, but I mean, gosh, then it means sitting in the sunshine and like, hello, it means
Yeah. Yeah.
so anyway, just sort of like in terms of how African science fiction and fantasy is being sort of devoured or consumed in the UK. What is the
Yeah.
general attitude that you're seeing towards African writers in the UK?
Well, I think it feels like there's a lot more awareness of it. I think the main issue is people, in the West or whether it's the UK or the US, actually being able to find our work out there. So obviously Wale Talabi's list is really good on the ASFS website in terms of who's published what in that year and obviously in the past. But I think there's that visibility, publicity is not as it's not penetrating as much as it could be. So, I mean, often you see on Twitter, somebody will say, hey, I'm looking for, underrepresented authors or stories or African writing and that kind of thing. And, so that just says a lot of people don't know where to find things. And so you'll invariably get, some of us kind of chiming in and saying, well, go here or here. Yeah. So that's a good thing. And everybody just needs to kind of do a bit more to get that visibility out there. So and obviously things like the nomos helps get the work out there, get those authors seen. Doing the panels like with Worldcon, doing those kind of panels, talking about works that we've read, recently, or more legacy works. So yeah, I think that's kind of my take on where it's at. So yeah, it's encouraging. It's definitely not what it was like 5-10 years ago. So
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely changed for the better.
yeah.
I still sometimes get people go, but you're white. I said,
Yes,
we are non-black Africans. In fact,
correct.
we're not this homogenous culture. I mean, you've got people of
Yeah,
Indian descent, you've got people of other places, and I mean,
yeah,
and what is defined as African? I mean, we understand it, but then of course trying to communicate that to the rest of the world is also sometimes
yeah,
very tricky. So people have
yeah,
these preconceptions, and then if you don't fit into their little boxes, they go, "Oh, but that's not quite right." And oh,
yeah,
your book isn't recognizably African. I'm like, excuse me,
yeah.
have you even been to Africa? Ever
Yes,
stood at the Vic Falls, or have you gone and stood in the Spargabit in Namibia? I mean, it's not just mud huts and acacia trees.
yeah, yeah,
And so, I mean, luckily I don't see as much of that these days because I think we've got a lot more visibility. But occasionally you do get these really hidebound people who are testing. So,
yeah.
what can we expect from you next?
Well, so I'll be promoting Bones and Runes as much as I can. And yeah, I mean, I can tell you a bit about that story, and it definitely is book one of three. Um, and then I'm working on a shared worlds project, which we're kicking off on Thursday, which is part of Wale Talabi's one of his initiatives with Brittle Paper. And then there's a anthology that Eugene Bacon's been shopping around that some of us contributed to. So I've got a story in there. So that's all kind of coming together quite nicely. And then yeah, so with the Shared World project, there's another really maybe I call it pure fantasy that I'm going to look into. I'm just trying to figure out where it fits in, whether I do it as Shared World or just do it as my own novel. And then with Bones and Runes, because I know what the three stories are and where we kind of end off, the research just keeps on going. And with Bones and Runes, part of the story is it's centered around Southern Africa in terms of belief systems, in terms of magic, in terms of local culture. So what I've done is I've got three main characters. So although the first book centers around Mlilo, the male protagonist for that story, because of something that happens to him, each book is going to focus on one of the other characters, but they're all kind of together through whatever trials and tribulations I throw at them. So Mlilo is Ngoma. His friend Dan is a druid. And then Amira, she is a mage, Hindu mage. I call her Hindu warrior mage because she's pretty kick-ass. So essentially, so part of being here in the UK is then to be able to delve more into all the druid Celtic mythologies and belief systems. So having been in South Africa while I was writing Bones and Runes really helped. I started a lot of the research in 2016, and that was from the short story that I submitted to Bloody Parchment, the one that never got in, that I didn't want to get in. That's still the first chapter of Bones and Runes. And so back in 2016, 2017, I started doing all the research and interviews, interviewing Izangomas, linguists, and youngers, getting an idea of those belief systems. So although we've grown up in South Africa, we have an idea of what some of those mean, what the background is, but really going into personal stories about that really helped with developing the story and getting the mythology right, because I'm effectively using real mythology, real characters from all these cultures, whether it's Celtic, whether it's Hindu, whatever, it's all kind of meshed together. So, yeah, as I say, being here, hopefully I'm going to stumble on a druid or two, which you don't really do in South Africa.
I might be able to track down one or two for you.
Fantastic.
Ask around.
Yeah, that'd
I
be
do
great.
have I have some interesting friends in interesting places.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically we at the top of our half an hour chat. Just if you had to give an elevator pitch for Bones and Ruins, how would you explain the novel to people?
Mlilo basically has to get his amatambo, his bones back that have been stolen from him, and he has to go through Abapanzi, which is the spirit realm, the isiZulu spirit realm, to track them down. And although he's a loner, he has to bring on his friend Dan and Amira to give him assistance. So yeah, that's basically.
Wow. Actually, now that I've got the copy of the book burning a hole in my hard drive,
Yeah.
I just wish I had time. I don't know. It's like, the whole freelance life thing is people say, "Oh, you must have so much time to write." I'm like, no, no.
Yeah. And we have to read other people's work as well. So it's part of the thing before you even get to your own.
Yeah, making lists and making lists and making. So anyway, Steve, so much for popping around today. I really appreciate it.
Well, one thing I just wanted to add for your viewers. So the back of Soul Searching, there is a acknowledgement to a certain Noreen Dorman for her work and assistance in getting Soul Searching out there. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, your assessment and notes and red marks throughout the manuscript really helped. So
I excel at making red marks. It's my trademark. I've got my trusty red pen always on hand.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Stephen, enjoy the UK.
Cool.
And I'm sure we'll catch up on Facebook and all the rest. And thank you very much for your time. Cool.
No problem.
Okay.
Thanks, okay. Cheers.
Cheers.